Hey guys, welcome back to Montana Made. It is Saturday, which seems to be the day, I guess, project day, and I need some stuff on my walls. I came up with an idea for a backlit, framed, reclaimed pallet wood wall art. So the first couple videos are going to be walking through the material, obviously, like I always do, in assembly of this wall art. We'll see how artistic I can be. But obviously, at the end, hopefully it gives some ideas for future projects for you guys to come up with your own ideas. But it uses backlighting with LEDs. Obviously, we're using reclaimed pallet wood, so got all sorts of stuff going on. But I'll start with, trimming up the frame, because dimensionally what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, the world map, and it's easy to scale down into something that I can turn into something that hopefully looks good in the end. So I will, right now we'll go over the material that you'll need to do the frame, and then we'll roll through the lumber, and then we'll go through all the assembly. Okay, so for our frame, which we'll work on first, we're going to need, you're going to need angle iron. If you want to do a steel frame, you can also do a wood frame as well. I'm doing steel on this because I think it looks a lot cooler. So if you do steel, I bought this from a place called Pacific Steel, which we have here on the West Coast. They specialize in steel products and welding supplies and recycling as well. I don't recommend buying this material at Lowe's or Home Depot, because this would have been about 50 to 60 bucks just for this couple chunks of angle, where at the steel shop they charged me $8. So anyways, if you go to order it, it's called stock angle iron, and it's 1 inch, so it's measured by thickness here, and it's obviously in an angle, so that'll make our frame. Next, you're going to need hearing protection, eye protection, some sort of saw. I've got my chop saw here / miter saw with a metal cutting blade. You'll also need some sort of welder, which I've got down there. We'll pull that out in a little while when we get to the welding section. And for now, we will get started on doing all the cuts on the metal portion of this project. And I'll key back in on the wood section when I get done with this. So let's get on to cutting our steel frame. Okay, we got our steel cut down into manageable chunks. So it's about 2.5 feet long is what I'm doing on my measurements. So 2 of my chunks are going to be 2 feet by the time I'm done with them, and then the other ones are going to be 3.25 feet long, so it'll make a nice rectangle. I've scaled that down for the world map, and so what I do is cut these chunks down, measure out my 45 right here, and then I make each of those little cuts out at my exact measurement of 2 feet. So I'll cut this little chunk out right now, show you what that looks like, and we'll do a few more, and then I'll turn the camera off and cut the rest of them, and then I'll bring you guys back to assembly. Okay, and there we have our first 45. So I'm going to do that on the rest of my pieces. Again, I won't make you guys watch this whole thing. It's pretty redundant on each cut. You just want to make sure and pre-measure your 45s, because as you miter, it's pretty easy to get your 45s incorrect. So I'll cut those and show you. I'll come back when they've all been cut out, and we'll talk about how to assemble them. Okay, so to make this cut, I was going to show you guys, I highly recommend a speed square. These are really cheap, make your cuts fast, easy to set a 45. I use it for wood and metal both. And so what we're going to do is take our steel, set our 45 to the very end, because we already have our 2 feet cut. We just want to cut one angle off of the top so that the joints fit together. And just make your pencil mark. And then all you need to do is cut in and cut that 45 out. There you go. That's all there is to it. You just go all around your 4 pieces and make all those angle cuts out. Always double checking that it's on the right side. And then when we come back together, where's my angle? There it is. These will fit together nicely. I'll get my grinder out and fit those up so that our corners match up and then make a rectangle. So let me cut those out and I'll bring you guys back to where I'm at when I'm done. Okay, so all of our parts are cut out now. All of our 45s look right. I think. I feel good about what I'm seeing. Now what we're going to do is go around each angle that we cut and basically grind off all this garbage that's left over. Also prep the angles for weld so that we get correct welds when we make our welds. If you want to hear welds again, I'll say it. So what I'll do is go through and do that. I'll set up the camera just so you can see some grindage. So let's get that going. Okay, so we are set up to start grinding on this stuff. Basic things you're going to need is a metal grinder with, well, metal grinding wheel for a grinder. Power, and that's about it. Obviously gloves, eye protection, ear protection, all the above, face protection if you want. But all you do is you basically just come through as you turn this on, I'll tell you beforehand, and just grind this all off. Put about a 45 on each of these angles so that your welds fill appropriately and bond these metals together like they should. So we'll do this one real quick, and then I'll turn it off and do the rest, and then we'll start welding. Okay, and now as you can see, we can turn this, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it or not, but there's nice 45s on these edges so that when we weld it, all that welding material will fill that and bond that metal together. All of the slag and all that other stuff that was inside here before is gone now, so it can't hang up. And that's basically all you do to prep your metal for welding. So I will do the rest like I said, and then I'll pick up again when we start welding. So we are ready to start welding. The first thing that I do on all of my corners is take the grinder and finish them up as much as I can so we have nice square even 45s. The next thing I do is tack weld every corner in place before I do my final welds. And the easiest way to do that is to get each of these, these come in a set of 4. What they are is they're just a magnetic 90-degree square. You can buy them anywhere. Harbor Freight's probably the cheapest. But all I do is hold it in place for you while you do your tack welds. Yeah, really simple, nice, easy piece of equipment that makes this a lot easier than it needs to be, which is good for people like me who can't weld very well. So anyways, we'll make our first tack welds, and then I'll put this on pause, and we'll come back and I'll show you, making a finished weld and then grinding those down so they look nice. Okay, now hopefully that will hold in place. What I'll do now is go around to each of the four corners and do the same thing on all the corners, and then I'll come back and do my finish weld. When I get to the finish weld, I'll turn the camera back on and show you that, and we'll continue on from there. Okay, so now that we have everything semi together to put into the frame, I'll go over what I just showed you in the short little videos that didn't have audio on them. So what we did is I went to Lowe's and I created a backer board for this frame, and what the backer board does right here
It gives you a nice smooth even surface for all of your pallet boards. Even though I planed them, they're still uneven, so it just kind of squares them up, evens them up. Yeah, and gives them a little surface that they all can stick to that's consistent, so when you lay them down, they all look even. So the material that I used for that, went to Lowe's and bought a 4x8 sheet, super cheap stuff, and it's like a 3/8 inch just laminate board. I think it was $14 for that whole sheet. I measured up my metal frame, I cut out the backer, and then I fit my boards to that backer and just took my nail gun and nailed them straight to it. In that process, you want to make sure to paint this board black, and the reason being, if there's any holes, any cool character and you can see through them, that black makes it finished on the back, and it hides any kind of, if that color was shown instead of black, it wouldn't look as nice. So, make sure you spray paint that backer board black. What else we did is we put all of our cut edges on the very end, so any kind of weathered edges we didn't cut, those will be the visible surfaces that everybody sees. And then finally, what I did to get a nice cut around the edges is I overlaid all my boards just like this one. I left one just to show you, and then followed the edge of my backer board to make my cuts. So then when they're all cut, they're going to fit inside of that frame. So just a quick tutorial. Just took my saw and just ran it right down the edge, and that is totally fine. Oh. We'll make sure we nail that one down. But thus, if you beat these edges up, it's fine, because at the end, when you put your frame on, sorry for the Titanic here, this frame will cover up the edges. So just like that, and that's what you want.
Okay, so what I've decided to do is make this video a two-part video, because the build of it is actually taking a lot longer than I thought it would, and then also the finish work is going to probably take a little bit longer. So here we are with our midway project. I feel like it's looking pretty good. Now what we've got to do is stencil the world map, because if I try to freehand it on this, it's not going to probably turn out like I want it to. So I need to get a projector, project onto the wall, trace that out, and then obviously cut those shapes out, and then we'll do an offset on this and make them pop up 3D and backlit those so they look nice. So anyways, be sure to tune in to part 2. Always like, subscribe. I'll keep you updated when my videos come up. I appreciate all the comments so far and everything. If you guys have any more, please feel free to ask. And it is officially winter in Montana. I'd show you outside. It looks super bright out there because we have a bunch of snow. Anyways, I'll post this later today, and be sure to, again, stay tuned. My next video should upload within the week.